The moment you stop trying to win her, you become the man she actually wants. It sounds paradoxical, it sounds backwards, but it's exactly how female psychology works. For months, you've been reaching out, you've been initiating, you've been trying to prove you're interested, you've been hoping she'll see your value, you've been waiting for her to respond. And she's been distant, slow to text back, canceling plans, giving you nothing to work with. But then something clicks. You finally accept it's not going to happen. You move on. You stop trying. And suddenly everything changes. Suddenly she's reaching out. Suddenly she's interested. Suddenly she's the one chasing. And you're confused because you didn't do anything. You didn't become more attractive. You didn't make more money. You didn't hit the gym harder. The only thing that changed is you stopped trying. So what's actually happening here? What goes on in a woman's brain when a man finally stops chasing? In the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through the actual female psychology at play, why stopping works, why your desperation was the problem, and what it actually takes to create attraction with a woman. The first thing happening is that chase creates a power imbalance she can't ignore. When you're pursuing, when you're always available, when you're the one initiating, you're signaling something very specific to her. You're signaling that she has power over you, that she matters more than your own life, that you need her more than she needs you. And here's what most men don't understand. This power imbalance kills attraction. It doesn't matter how attracted she was to you initially. It doesn't matter how good the sex was or how much fun you had together. Once she realizes she has complete power and you have none, something in her brain switches off. Because attraction requires a certain balance. It requires that both people have something at stake. It requires that neither person is completely dependent on the other. But when you're chasing and she's not, there's no balance. She's in control, you're desperate, and desperation is repulsive. The second thing is that pursuing you made her comfortable in a bad way. When you're always trying, always available, always showing up, she gets comfortable with that dynamic. She gets used to having you around. She gets comfortable knowing you'll be there whenever she decides she wants attention. But she's not attracted to you in that dynamic. She's just using that dynamic. There's a difference between being comfortable and being attracted, and most men confuse them. But the moment you stop, the moment you're no longer always available, the moment you're not guaranteed, suddenly comfort disappears. Suddenly she has to confront whether she actually wants you or whether she was just taking advantage of your availability. And sometimes, when that comfort disappears, she realizes she actually does want you. She actually does care, because when she lost you, she felt something. The third thing is that your withdrawal creates curiosity. When you're chasing, she knows exactly what you're thinking. She knows you want her. She knows what you're going to do next. It's predictable. But when you stop, when you pull back, when you become unavailable, suddenly there's mystery. She doesn't know if you're angry. She doesn't know if you've moved on. She doesn't know if you're with someone else. She doesn't know what you're thinking. And mystery is one of the most attractive things in the human brain. Uncertainty creates curiosity. Curiosity creates obsession. So now she's thinking about you more than when you were trying. The fourth thing is that stopping triggers her own instinct to pursue. Women are biologically wired to respond to a man's interest, but they're also wired with a pursuit instinct of their own. When a man is always pursuing, her role is to be the prize. She's the pursued. She's the one who gets to decide. But when the man stops pursuing, when he steps back and focuses on his own life, her dynamic changes. Suddenly, she might feel like she needs to pursue him. Suddenly, she might feel like she needs to prove she's interested. And for many women, being the pursuer creates a different kind of attraction. It makes her invested. It makes her care more. The fifth thing is that you becoming unavailable makes you scarce. There's a psychological principle called scarcity. The scarcer something is, the more valuable it becomes. When you're always available, you're not scarce, you're abundant. You're easy to get, and things that are easy to get don't seem valuable. But when you stop being available, when you're not guaranteed to respond immediately, when your time and energy are clearly devoted to other things, you become scarce. And the moment you become scarce, you become valuable. So here's what's actually happening inside her head when you stop chasing. At first, she probably doesn't notice. She's probably still doing her thing, still living her life, still not thinking about you. But then something shifts. Maybe you don't text for a week. Maybe she notices you're not in her DMs anymore. Maybe she realizes you stopped trying. And she starts to wonder, what's he doing? Is he okay? Did he move on? Does he have someone else? And then she starts checking your social media. She notices when you post something. She notices if you're out doing things without her. She notices if you're living your life. And now you're in her head, and she's thinking about you more than she did when you were chasing her. But here's the critical thing to understand. Her interest in you now doesn't necessarily mean she actually wants to be with you. Sometimes it's just about winning. Sometimes it's just about the chase. Sometimes it's just about the ego boost of knowing she can have you if she wants you. If you respond to her pursuing you, if you go back to making yourself available, if you go back to the old dynamic, the cycle just repeats. She'll lose interest again, you'll chase again, she'll become interested again, and then she'll pull back. Because the real problem was never that you weren't trying hard enough. The real problem was the dynamic itself. So here's what actually works long term. Stop chasing, but not as a game, not as a manipulation tactic, not as some psychological trick to make her interested. Stop chasing because you've built a life that's full enough that whether she's interested or not doesn't determine your happiness. Stop chasing because you've got your own goals, you've got your own interest, you've got your own purpose, and that's not dependent on her. When you genuinely stop trying to win her, when you genuinely move on, when you genuinely build your own life, one of two things happens. Either she becomes interested because she realizes what she's losing, because she sees you living your life without needing her, because she realizes you're actually a valuable man, or she doesn't become interested, and that's fine, because you've already got a full life, because her interest isn't determining whether you're okay, because you've moved on. Either way, you win. But the key is that it has to be real. Women can sense desperation. Women can sense when you're faking it. Women can sense when you're pretending to move on, but you're actually still waiting for her in the background. And if she senses that, she loses interest immediately. Because you're back to being the desperate guy. You're back to trying to win her. You're back to giving her power. So the actual work is internal. The actual work is building a life so full and so engaging that her opinion of you genuinely doesn't matter. And when you do that work, when you actually build that life, your entire energy changes, your desperation disappears, your neediness evaporates, your confidence becomes genuine instead of performed. And women respond to that, not because they can be manipulated, but because they're attracted to men who have their lives together, men who don't need them to feel complete. Comment if you've experienced this. Comment if you stopped chasing and suddenly she came back. Comment if you've tried to go back to chasing after she showed interest and it all fell apart again. I read every comment, and if this helped you understand how female psychology actually works, I'd appreciate it if you'd like this video and subscribe. It helps more men stop wasting energy on the chase and start building lives that matter. Thank you for being here. I'll see you in the next one.